So let's do that. Navigate back to the app, and then I will pull up our recipe model. Okay, and over here, I want to do something like this. Define thumbs underscore up underscore total, and then define thumbs underscore down underscore total. Okay, so here we want to count the number of upvotes a recipe has received. So we're going to do something like this. Self dot likes dot where like is true. Okay, and then we want to get the size of it. So dot size. Same thing here. Self dot likes dot where. Now we're going to say where like is false, and we want the size of this. All right, so we have these two methods now, thumbs up total and thumbs down total. So we're going to go ahead and add this to our show HTML ERB template. So right here, after the thumbs up icon, I want to give it a space. So, by the way, in case you're wondering what this is how you add a space in HTML. It's not the most beautiful code, but you know, it's going to work for us. So here we want to do something like this. We have the recipe object. So recipe dot thumbs up total. Okay, now we have the recipe object. We're passing that to our method we just created, and the method is referring to it by self. So this is going to return the total number of upvotes associated with that recipe object. Okay, now same thing here for this one. We want to add space, and then recipe dot thumbs down total. All right, so let's see what that did. If I reload the page, perfect. We see that there's one thumbs up and one thumbs down. If I do another vote or another like here, okay, so there you go. Now we have two. Perfect. So this is displaying. Now what we want to do, if we go back to our recipes listing, we want to show that over here, right? So let me go back, grab this piece of code from this div right here. Okay, copy it, and we want to add this to our index page. So navigate over to index HTML ERB, and we want it to show right where the summary is, right? So right here we have the summary, and then summary, and then time ago. Okay, that should work. This right here should work. So I'll paste it right here, and then make sure the formatting is correct. Okay, looks good. Now we have to make a little bit of an update here. If you remember, we're iterating through each recipe of instance variable or object, at recipes object. So here, it's not going to be at recipe, it's going to be just recipe. Okay, so let me make that update. Save that. Let's go back to our page, reload it. Okay, perfect. So we can see that the votes are showing. This one we had created from the console, and this one we had voted on from the show recipe page. Now just to test it out, let's go ahead and vote here. Perfect. And the thumbs down vote of dislike, or you can call it vote or thumbs down, whichever, it's working. We got the message, your selection was successful. Let me do the thumbs up for a like. All right, it's working great. And all right, so at this point, we've covered a good amount, but next we want to talk about validations. Okay, a little bit of validation, because we've been hard coding the chef ID to both the recipes and likes so far, but we'll remedy that once we have our user authentication. But for now, we can still ensure that a chef, which is currently hard coded, can only like or dislike a recipe once. Okay, so the fact that we can go on clicking on the thumbs up or thumbs down on each recipe while having the same user shows that we can currently do this, but we don't want to allow that. We don't want a user who's a chef to be able to like or dislike a recipe more than once. So let's add that validation to our like model. Okay, so we'll go here and then we'll go to our like.rb, and then we want to do something like this: validates uniqueness of, and then chef. Okay, now we can do something like this, but if you do this, if you validate uniqueness of chef, then it'll basically make sure that you can only like, basically a chef can only like or dislike once. That's it. It's not dependent on the recipe or anything. This would mean that a chef can literally not like or dislike anything more than once. Let's try that out. If I go to recipes, our current chef, see, this recipe has not been voted on. But if I click on it, it says your selection was successful because that's the flash message we're giving currently. We'll fix that. But if you look at the bottom, we see that the vote was not counted. Okay? And we don't want that. We want an association with the recipe as well. Okay? So you can vote just once, but only on a particular recipe. So you can do the thumbs up like vote here, but it has to be associated with a recipe. You can like or dislike multiple recipes, but just once on each recipe. So we need to add that in. To add that in, it's fairly simple. You can go here, validates uniqueness of chef, then comma, and then you can add in something like this: scope, colon, space, and then colon, recipe. Okay? Now this is building that in. Just by adding this line of code, now if I reload this page, and try voting here. Okay, let me scroll down. See that I was able to vote. Now we see that this already has a vote. So let me try to vote again here. Notice it's still 1. Let me try to downvote here. Okay. Didn't count, it's still 0. So that's great. So that our validation is now working. Now we want to update the action. So you noticed how selection was successful showing up. We want to add the ability to handle basically when a user tries to vote on a recipe more than once, right? Because right now it's not letting the user know that their vote was not counted. It's just not counting it. We want to display that. So we can add that by going to the recipes controller right here in our like action. So this one's currently doing like.create like. So I'm going to assign this variable of like, okay? And then add in if like.valid. Then do this, which is success. Your selection was successful. Redirect to back. Else something, and then end, right? So what do we want to do in this else area right here? We want to basically say flash danger, and then you can only like/dislike a recipe once. Okay, and then we want to redirect to back here as well. All right, so that should work. Let's try that out. So now if I click here, you can only like or dislike a recipe once. Okay, perfect. So that's working. Let me go to the show recipes page and make sure that it's working there also. Let's go to potato salad. Okay, you can only like or dislike a recipe once. Perfect. Now let me create a new recipe. Test recipe again. Sorry. New test recipe to test like description, some description, add something, cook, etc. Okay, and then create recipe. Okay, recipe was created successfully. Now if I scroll all the way to the bottom, now if I click on this one, okay, we see that the selection was successful. Now to test it out, we can go here and we see that it's 1. All right, so the last thing I want to do is I want to sort it. I want to sort the listing here. Right now it's just, you know, it's just showing by whichever recipe was created the earliest. I want to display the most popular recipes on top, and then I want to work my way downwards, right? So to do that, I can go to the recipes controller, then where I'm pulling up all recipes here. I want to do recipe.all, and then I want to do something like this. Sort by, and then likes dot thumbs up total. Okay, so that should work. But if I do that, what will happen is it'll sort in ascending order, meaning 0 and then work its way up. I want it reverse of that. So to do that, I just do a dot reverse here. Okay, so now if I go back to my app and then reload this page, okay, notice how the recipe with the 2 likes, which is the highest number of likes we have right now, shows up on top, and all the ones that don't have any likes or, you know, have dislikes are at the bottom. Okay, perfect. Okay, so that concludes adding a like and dislike feature to our app, complete with the thumbs up and thumbs down view. Comes with validations on users, which are chefs in our app, and it also has this count displays on both the show and the index page. Okay, great. I'll see you in the next lesson.